Let's return to This Week in America. Here's your host, Rick Bratton.
Welcome back, everybody, coast to coast. This Week in America, Rishikesh Ram Motilall's book, Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures, is a comprehensive yet simple description of what causes cancer and how we as humans can understand what is happening in our bodies. Although cancer is referred to as a disease, Ram explains it is actually a part of life that includes growth and reproduction. Any process of life that is repetitive has the potential to incur and repeat mistakes, yet not necessarily in the same way every time. Cell division, which is an integral part of reproduction, is subject to mistakes. Generally, a misfit cell cannot survive. If it does, human defense mechanisms can destroy it. However, if a non-identical cell lives and propagates, cancer is the result. The cancerous growth is available to proliferate while function differently and interfere with organ or mast cell function. Ram was born on the coast of Guyana, South America, as the eighth of 10 children. At a small village upbringing instilled with good moral and religious values, his family was able to facilitate schooling at all levels, including university, while still maintaining the land. Ram attended the University of Guyana and studied biochemistry, emigrated from Guyana to Minnesota in 1981, still lives there, has been involved professionally for the last 38 years in the formulation and production of several categories of products, including personal care products and other chemical specialty products. Rishikesh Ram Motilall, author of Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures, is our guest on This Week in America. Ram, a pleasure to have you with us. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir. My pleasure to be here, sir.
A very important book that you've written. Why did you decide to write this book? What was the inspiration in writing Understanding Cancer?
Well, there are many people in the world who don't have a scientific background or don't have a good understanding of how the body works, how the organs work. And they hear the word cancer and they see it as being a death sentence. And first and foremost, they wonder why they got this disease, why God is punishing them, why they are selected for this kind of punishment. And having heard that from friends and family and associates, and I have an understanding of how it works, I decided to put this together so people can get a better understanding that it is not an actual disease. It's not caused by a microorganism, by bacteria, by viruses or so. It's a part of life. It's a part of all living being does have some cancerous situation at some point due to a mishap in cell division.
It's interesting as I read sort of the beginning of the book, the introduction. It's common, I don't say it's common sense, but it really makes sense, doesn't it? When you break it down as you do and explain it in a couple of paragraphs, we have a much better understanding of what it is. In fact, my standpoint, I probably learned more in reading a couple paragraphs from the book than I have in trying to understand this for years. You really break it down so it's understandable to the reader.
Thank you, sir. And exactly that was the intent of it. So somebody can get an understanding of what it really is versus being a major disease that we don't know how we contracted it.
That's exactly the case, and you do such an excellent job in explaining this. Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures. The book's available at pageturner.us, other places, and I'll go through all of those here in a couple of minutes. Who is this book designed for? I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, boy, this could be used by everybody because we're all concerned about cancer. We've all been touched some part of our lives by cancer. Who should read the book? Who would benefit from reading Understanding Cancer?
It is really for the ordinary person, the layman. It's not for doctors and oncologists and those people. But it's also helpful if they can relay the same kind of message to their patients. So when a patient come in and get all traumatized about it and the family get all distraught about it, it's a simple explanation. Look, you are not targeted. This is not caused by something you did purposely or you contracted it somewhere or something. It is something that happens and it can happen to anybody. And that, lineage, when we say you look at your family history or something, that will have something to do with cancerous situation because the living body is trying to adapt to its environment And so in process of adaptation then materialize itself into with the DNA structure, and that propagates with your hereditary situation.
I would almost think this is like a first step in if you get that diagnosis, you have cancer. This is almost a first step in your recovery. Is that true? Do you think having a better understanding of what happened, I think, would make the recovery maybe go a little bit better, at least from a psychological standpoint?
Exactly, and I did mention that in the book too. A clear mind of it, understanding of it, a positive attitude definitely help, because the body itself needs some positive thing within itself for the whole system harmonize to work better, and that helps the immune system to work better if you have a positive attitude and a good mood about things.
What message do you want people to get from reading your book, Understanding Cancer?
Specifically, that nobody is targeted. There is not a disease. It's not a disease that is caused by any kind of infection or anything. It's not something that you touch somebody and they'll get it from you. It's not contagious. It is just a part of life. And if it happens to you, it's your genetic situation and or your environment that has caused this to happen.
You know, it's interesting. There's so many ways, as you're talking there, this book would benefit people. Talk about that. As you were writing Understanding Cancer, what you were attempting to make available to people to be of benefit to them in going through this process. You've done such an excellent job of breaking down. What benefits do you think people will get from Understanding Cancer?
One of the important thing is that our bodies need, all living beings need to build immunity. And immunity is something that you build mainly when you are very young, very, very young. And in today's world, the parents, young parents and everything, they do everything to protect their children from any type of infection or any kind of contamination, for lack of a better word. But in doing that, the children, the babies, the toddlers are not exposed to any kind of organisms or situation that might be in their regular water they drink, in the food they eat. And so they build no immunity to it, because people boil the water, they use hand sanitizers, they disinfect all the time. So the body has no opportunity to build any kind of immunity or resistance to anything. So whenever in an advanced age, when certain precautions like that are not being taken, and the body is affected by one of these microorganisms or a situation, the body has no resistance to it. And so the person gets sick and have to take different kind of treatment or everything, because the body has no ability to withstand something like that.
With us on the program, the author of Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures, Rishikesh Ram Motilall. And I'm going to spell that for you, tell you where the book's available. Rishikesh is R-I-S-H-I-K-E-S-H, Ram, R-A-M. Motilall is M-O-T-I-L-A-L-L. The book's available at pageturner.u. In fact, let me go through the list of places, because you can buy the book virtually wherever books are available. All Amazon sites, Barnes & Noble, Page Turner's bookstore, Chapters Indigo in Canada, Waterstones in the UK, Booktopia in Australia and New Zealand. It's available in all of the various formats. It's available worldwide, and we'll give you this information throughout the program. Go to our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and you can link on there as well. Ram, what age group are you specifically looking for, or is there an age group that could best read and utilize the information you have in your book?
You know, there is not a specific age group that is would benefit or anything. What it more so is give an understanding of it, so people don't get distraught about the situation to the extent that they get more sick out of it. But one thing that that will cause a rapid cancerous situation, for a loose term, is migration. Because if people grow up in a certain area of the world, and that is what they build immunity to their situation. When you migrate to a different areas, especially far away, your body do not have that immunity to what is local to that area where you are. So some precaution could be taken, but again, in today's world, with all the variations in genetic engineering of food, the different processes, the preservatives that goes in food, and all the things we deal with, the application of SPF products to our skin, lotions to our skin to protect us from the sun. All these things are reasons why there can be cancerous situation, because the body does not have the ability to defend itself against it. In the case of sun protection situation, you continually apply this to your body. The body doesn't know that the sun has changed a certain degree of UV rays that are coming, the intensity of it. And whenever that does get exposed, the body has no ability to withstand it. And so the reaction of the body is to do something quickly to protect itself. In the process of rapid protection, rapid means of cell division and everything, there are mistakes. And the mistakes that happen is when the cell divides irregularly, and if the irregular cells continue to live, they will become it will proliferate to become a cancerous situation.
You know, it's amazing as you read the book, and just like you did for the last couple of minutes, you break it down. It's like, okay, and I understand this now. Sometimes we've heard this for years, but with a lot of medical jargon, and we're not quite sure exactly what the person's saying. I know what you're saying. You've spent over 38 years of your life in dealing with this, and what you're saying, I think, is a lot of the products we use, a lot of the foods that we eat, we think are beneficial to us, but they're really not, are they? I mean, you're talking about chemical sunscreen, that type of thing that we put on all the time when we're outdoors. We may not be protecting ourselves.
Well, it's instant gratification, which all of us live
Yes.
by.
Yes.
Yes, it would provide immediate protection. You don't get sunburn, different things don't happen right then. But what the negative to it, the body does not recognize what the real intensity of the sun is, what the real UV rays that we are dealing with. And so when the situation arises that you do not have that artificial protection, is when the body tries to find a way to protect itself. And that is in all parts of it, but not only sun protection in the food you eat. If it is not something that the body is accustomed to assimilate, or get into the bloodstream, to get into the cells for assimilating, for energy, the systems of the body, the organs of the body do not have that ability to protect itself, because it doesn't know where this foreign material is coming from and what it should do. So in the process of trying to figure it out, the body, the organs do different things to try to figure it out. And in the process, it mutates, really. New cells are formed and mutates to adapt to what it is. And the everyday supply of this material makes the body mutate to get there. And the mutation, the start of the mutation, which is what gives you new species and everything as things change, that is what eventually turns out to be a cancerous situation.
Is there a concise message? The time is going by so quickly. What do you want us, a main message to take away from this conversation, but in reading Understanding Cancer? What do you hope we take away from understanding cancer through your book?
Mainly that people understand what causes it, what really is the reasons for it, how it come about, and it is not a disease, it's not a microorganism, it's not a virus, it's not something that you have done to yourself that bring this upon. It is a process of life. We are born, or all our living organisms are born, and the conditions in which they live in does have an effect on how they live their life and growing, and what conditions affect them more. And so as they're being affected, the body try to compensate, and that is for all living beings, tree, plants, animals, all. In the process of adaptation, you you have a form of cancerous situation that leads to the adaptation.
The book is Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures by Rishikesh Ram Motilall. The book is available at pageturner.us, Amazon, all of the usual places. I know you've got a desire to get this book out so it can help people. People can read it and better understand. Talk about that desire. I mean, it's one thing to write the book, but you're as passionate about distribution and getting people to read it as you were about writing it in the first place.
Well, that is the thing. If you have a certain understanding of something or a knowledge of something, it's important to share it with those who may not have the same understanding. And in my personal life, with family members and friends and so who have had cancer and don't understand really where it came from, and they get distraught and they get worried and they get troubled. And again, why am I being punished? What did I do to deserve this? So if somebody can get this, they read it, they understand. Oh, the understanding will be, oh yeah, it's really not something I did. It's not something I could have necessarily avoided. Or whatever it is a result of situations, not necessarily in my lifetime. It could have been from a previous generation where something started as an adaptation process. So as long as people can understand that part of it and come to grips with it, for where really it's coming from, and they can have a positive attitude about it, you will be in a better position to handle it, because the body needs good vibes to be able to handle adverse situation.
And getting the book out, I know it's important to you to get it out to everybody. Certainly economic situations as such now, people may not have a lot of extra money to spend on reading material. You want to get this out to the less fortunate as well, don't you?
Yes, sir. Definitely.
And again, where you go to get the information on the book is pageturner.us. You can link on by going to our website, thisweekinamerica.us. If someone gets the book and is interested in getting more information, how can they get clarification on specific points? What's the best way to go about doing that to reach out to you and to get information?
Well, somebody will be free to call me and call my cell phone, which is 651-341-1600, or email me at ram@dmcmn.com, ram@dmcmn.com, and I'll be happy to offer any additional explanation that is asked.
Will there be follow-up books? Are you working on other books on the topic?
I'm thinking about it. I have not come to a full conclusion on it yet, but there are some other books that I'm looking at writing, not necessarily with respect to cancer.
It's interesting in looking at your background. Two questions sort of have driven you throughout your life. How and why? Where did all this curiosity come from? I mentioned the educational opportunities that you had and you took advantage of, and you're very curious. You want to make sure, you want to find out how things work, and you wanted to find out how cancer worked, and you've got that explained in Understanding Cancer. Where did this curiosity come from? You see something. Most people look at something and are amazed by it, don't really understand it, and they move on. It doesn't sound like you move on until you understand it. Where did this come from?
It's an innate trait. Different people have different things that drives them. And personally, I always, since I was very young, I always was interested on how and why. Anything that I deal with, how it works, why it works. And what else can be done about it to make it work better or something. I've always been fascinated by that aspect of doing things. And so, having heard about cancer, myself being a biochemist in my studies and having a good biological background, I said, let me explore this a little more and try to figure out exactly some of the details as to why and what about cancer.
A minute or so left. What does it feel like for you when you write a book like this and you get response from people that Boy, this book you wrote really helped me through a very difficult time. I was able to read it. I was able to digest it. I was able to understand it. What's it feel like? Because for some people, it's like a lifeline that you've extended to them. Understanding, as we said in the beginning of the program, is a big part of the battle.
For me, it's personal satisfaction. As is with anything that you do in life, and when somebody appreciate what you do, just like cooking a good meal and people eat it and say, this tastes very good, I like this, it's personal satisfaction. In this case here, I feel very, very good when somebody say, this makes a difference for me. Now I understand it. Oh, this was good to clarify some things for me. It's a real good, heartwarming feeling.
Well, you've done an excellent job with the book, Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures. Our guest on the program is Rishikesh Ram Motilall. The book's available at the usual places: Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Page Turner's Bookstore, Chapters Indigo in Canada, Waterstones in the UK, Booktopia in Australia and New Zealand. So literally worldwide, you'll find a copy of the book on our website, thisweekinamerica.us, and you'll get all the information and go directly to the Page Turner website. You've been working with Page Turner on getting this out there. What has that been like in working with them, sort of hand in hand in getting this out to the public?
They have been very good to work with, and I really enjoy working with them. And we're going to be looking at a next step here about getting it translated into a couple other languages, especially Spanish.
Now, that would be great, and we'll try to keep everybody posted on that. I'm going to break down the spelling, give you the title one more time: Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures. Rishikesh is Rishikesh, Ram, R-A-M, Motilall, Motilall. The name of the book, and if you go to Page Turner, you'll find it very easily: Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures. Ram, a pleasure having you on the program. Thank you so much for joining us. We will stay in touch, and you've done a great job, a service of breaking this down in a very understandable way that we all can get a better grasp of what's going on. We hear cancer and it scares us, and you get us a little bit over that by understanding the why. That's the first step. Thank you for being with us on the program.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you having me on.
The book, once again, Understanding Cancer, Causes, Spread, and Control Measures. Information on our website, thisweekinamerica.us. We're back on today's program after these messages.
This Week in America is online. You can visit our website, thisweekinamerica.us. Scott Pinkerton, Associate Producer of This Week in America. Jay Anderson, Segment Producer. Ben Watson, Webmaster. Otto Bechet, Director of Engineering and TV Production. This Week in America produced and is a trademark of Blue Funk Broadcasting, LLC. For information on all of our guests and to listen to this week's show, our website again at thisweekinamerica.us. And I'm Sean Bratton, Executive Producer of This Week in America.